Today I'm going to talk to you about avoidant personality because it's very difficult, it's very different to get back with an ex if he or she has an avoidant personality. And I think it is very common for people to have this personality. So I'm going to detail everything in detail in this video. We're going to first look at the signs and things to assess whether your ex has an avoidant personality, and then we'll go and look at the strategies and things you can do right now to get back with them, because it's possible, it's just different than a normal personality. Before I move on, just to remind you, you can subscribe and comment. I'll be more than happy for you to ask your questions. I reply to all the comments. You can call me. I've launched that recently. You get 15 minutes to have a chat with me. It's totally free, and the idea is for me to provide you some tips and ammunition to go to war and get back with your ex. And last but not least, you can take the quiz. I put together a quiz and assessment for you to know if you have any chance to get back with your ex. The link is in the first comment of the video. So, first of all, as I said, we're gonna help you recognize if your ex is an avoidant person. First, the lack of intimacy. They really struggle to be intimate. They really struggle to have this time with you. Very often they are very shy. The lack of confidence is also a strong sign that this person could be an avoidant personality. This point, the high sensitivity, this is where it gets very difficult for you when it comes to get back with them. And we're going to look afterwards why it's so important to understand this high sensitivity. Of course, they're going to reduce the social interaction. So again, it doesn't mean that they don't have friends, but they would prefer being at home or be with one or two people rather than being in a large group. They have difficulties trusting. Again, this is really important when it comes to get back with them. They have this very, very high difficulty of trusting, and they don't want to be too close. And we're going to look at why it is so different than other people, why these different sort of traits of that personality make that relationship recovery a little bit different. So as I said before I move on to the tips, they want human connection like everybody else. I'm going to go quickly on this one. So we think they are never in a relationship, but that's not true. They do have a relationship, and they are thought to stay at home and watch Netflix, but actually, no, it's not true. They like to engage. We are social animals, and even if people have this avoidant personality, they still meet people. Now, third point, really important, never emotionally close. Before I move on to this one, usually, avoidant personality tend to date, and the word is badly designed in that sense, date people who are actually more outgoing, more extrovert, because they sort of feed the lack of being trust and being confident and being open. And it is the same with emotions. Sometimes, and it's quite frequent, that an avoidant personality would be with someone who's really comfortable sharing their emotions. So anytime you're upset, you're sad, you're angry, you will tell it. Whereas like avoidant personality really struggle with those emotions. He can't really share what he's thinking. He can't really express what he's thinking. Sometimes he doesn't feel things. So we're going to look why it is so different in that type of case, a relationship with an avoidant personality. So for them, being too close means putting themselves in danger and therefore losing their freedom. So is that the case for you? You feel that your ex, whenever you try to ask them to commit or to move forward, you're sort of suppressing their freedom. They are afraid that the other person will love them more than they do. And therefore, it gets them stuck. So is that the same for your ex? Do you feel like because you were too keen, you were too, over him or her, he's like, okay, she's way too much in love. I'm scared, I'm going to pull out. And the last one is like the fear of having their life dictated. Again, freedom is their core value, and fear of not meeting the needs of the other person. So for example, I want to have kids, I want to have a house, I want all the needs that feels overwhelming to that person. So the more you want to project things, the more you want to build something, they'll push back because it would prevent them from that freedom, from enjoying that freedom. So it's so important, really, maybe pause this video at this stage, look at these bullet points, try to see whether it's the same with your ex, because what we're going to cover afterwards is the strategies and tactics to get them back. Another sort of thing to know if your ex is an avoidant personality. Are you okay? You don't feel good. And they will answer angry, but leave me alone. Everything is fine. Yeah, actor studio. Getting back with a state of personality is different, as I said. So this one is the last sort of sign that you can analyze whether anytime you feel that your ex is avoiding confrontation or is not struggling to share his feelings. I'm just laughing at myself because this impression was so bad. Anyway, but leave me alone. Everything is fine. Fifth one, they are anxious to get you back. So this is where we're going to go and discuss the getting back thing. Getting back into a close situation makes them anxious. Getting back with something that didn't work, with something with friction, with something with tension, makes them really, really scared. And if your expectations are higher, it stresses them out. Commitment, wedding, children, house, all these kind of things seem overwhelming for them, and therefore they'll pull back. So there's the high anxiety there on their end. They don't express it because they mostly keep the things for themselves. You might be an anxious person, but you express it. And so for you, you really don't understand and you feel like you're talking to a wall, you're talking to someone who doesn't have feelings. It's just that they express it in a different way. Radio silence, I just waited 10 minutes to talk about radio silence. The thing is, radio silence would work with them exactly the same way it would work with someone else. However, there's few differences. It works because, as I mentioned, they really value freedom. And so having them to experience that freedom, releasing that pressure after the breakup is really, really important. Then, as you know, radio silence is where the withdrawal would start. They're going to start to miss you. However, the difference with other personality is that it would take time. Usually I say you do radio silence for a month or two, and then people will start to miss you after 10-15 days. Then you get in touch with them after 1 or 2 months, and things escalate and you get together. With an avoidant personality, it's a little bit slower. You might need to wait for 2 or 3 months for them to really miss you. And it is so frustrating because you see that personality, sometimes they fake it. They fake that they're super happy. They fake that they enjoy that freedom. They fake that they made the right decision by breaking up with you. But the thing is, they will miss you at some point. It's just that you have to be brave. You have to have that mindset that at some point, in 2 or 3 months, they'll start to miss you because that's what they do. The 7 is they will fail to connect with others. So the good news is the reason it didn't work with you, the reason he was scared or she was scared of commitment, that they would be prisoner of that relationship, they would reproduce this with other people. And therefore, don't be scared that they're going to move on and have a new relationship and maybe have kids or family with that person. Actually, what didn't work with you is likely not to work with other people. So the same patterns will repeat. Therefore, if you were in love, if it works working well together, they would miss your relationship because anything they'll create will be chaos again. So if you were in a stable relationship, you were getting along really well, and at some point something made them scared or anxious and they decided to break up. Now that's different. You can definitely fix it because you had that stable relationship based on strong foundations regardless of their personality. And this is what they would sort of look up to. They would look back and say, okay, I'm single, I'm free, I can date anyone I want. I actually have this new partner, but she's not, as great as the other one, even though I'm not committed. And they're gonna have this reflection and they're gonna really compare their situation with your situation with them. And that's why when you sort of get back in touch with them, make it very, very subtle, make it very light and slow. It's slower. It's a slower process. It's not impossible. It's not harder. It's just slower. It's harder for you because it's more painful, because it takes more time, but it's just slower. So whenever they send a message, you just reply one message. Keep the 1-1 rule. and that's it. But it's going to take a little bit more time than with other people. As I said, you reduce the pressure by SMS. When you get back in touch, really little pressure. The more pressure you put on these people, on this personality, the more they'll push back, and stronger than anyone else. Again, it's all about the commitment. So little commitment, little things. And always try to get emotionally on the same level as them. They will come across as very neutral emotionally. Try to come across neutral emotionally. Don't try to confront them. Don't try to share with them how you feel. And I know that's often the right way to do it. But with those personalities, try to stay neutral. Slow in radio silence, slow in texting. So the key takeaways, check if your ex is avoidant. Remember, the more pressure you put on them, the more they retract. Maybe your ex was a turtle in the end. Take care.